Hi and welcome to the penultimate round of the oNiD Sim Hound LMU 100 series powered by Coach Dave. We've travelled across the other side of the world from Sebring to the Japanese mountains as we arrive here in Fuji Speedway. We're on the 2.81 mile classic layout where we lose the chicane down at Dunlop, and this circuit obviously famous for its wet weather conditions. James Hunt, Niki Lauda, 1976 in the Formula 1 finale. Rain throwing it down, Lauda comes into the pit lane, and in 2013 when the WEC didn't actually race here because it was such a torrential downpour. But today, luckily, it's nice and dry, and it makes up our round 5 of the championship, our last round before the finale in Le Mans. And we come into it tied on points in the pro class and only 6 points separating us in the top of the AMS class. And as always, I'm joined by Angela Scott. How are you doing today?
I am doing wonderfully. It's great to be back. It's great to be at Fuji, a track we didn't race last season. Missed it a little bit, but now with qualifying just about to get underway, yeah, looking forward to getting to this long, I believe kilometre-long straight that makes up the start-finish straight. Will be a bit thirsty on fuel, but the more technical final sector might make up for it. How much fuel saving will the drivers need? Bit of an unknown. How will the drivers fare with tyres? Well, you've got that long double right-hander of 100R at the start of the second sector. Be very interesting to see how drivers fare with that. Of course, as Tom mentioned, no chicane at Dunlop. Fast right-hander taking its place. Could be a bit difficult on tyres. Drivers maybe running a little bit wide into the grass. could see some mistakes coming up with there, and in the final sector, it is very technical, very challenging on the Mon Ultimate.
Yeah, it's going to be a real exciting one, especially with the chicane missing as well. I love that part of the circuit without the chicane as well. You can obviously throw a lot more speed into that section of the circuit, and you kind of, well, especially in the GT3 cars, I'm not sure about the hypercars, you kind of have to judge how much of the sausage curb you want to take on the inside of the corner or risk going off into the gravel on the outside as well. So yeah, some great racing coming up here today. Also, so close in the championship with the one drop round as well. Alfie Bevins, Jonathan Seville tied on points. It's really coming down to the wire with just one round to go now as well. So much to keep an eye on. And this qualifying session is going to be so key to probably the championship and the race today as well, to see who can get, well, at least onto the front row or pole position.
Yeah, in our last two races, they have been won by Alfie Bevan and then Jonathan Seville. But for both those races, the other was not present. They are both here tonight. So which of the two can take the victory and likely put themselves top of the standings? Well, it all starts with qualifying, which is now underway, and Alfie Bevan just starting their first flying lap.
Both of them have 2 pole positions apiece this season, so this is to go ahead of one another unless someone else comes through and takes pole position as well today. Dmitry Yaroshenko also has 2 pole positions, and Ben Shorley also has 2 pole positions this season as well. So only 4 drivers have qualified on pole position if we look at the 2 classes, as Alfie is coming through the first sector just now on their first flyer. Obviously, purple in the first sector, but still very early on in this session, so it will be interesting to see what times come through as they do. But no one beating Alfie so far on this first flying lap time around the circuit. He comes through the Dunlop corner now, obviously skips the chicane, now comes into that turn 12, a little bit awkward part of the circuit. He's purple again in sector 2, but bear in mind this is still early in the session. Now comes up through next corner. Now when he has turn 16, this long right-hander to go, this little awkward Panasonic corner to then get back on the power. You can see he gets really twitchy at the back end there as he tries to get on the throttle as soon as possible as they get to the 0.9 mile start finish straight, as Alfie will come up towards the start finish line now. Let's see what the first representative lap time is. It's only good enough for second. It's Seville on pole, 1 minute 24.499. Bevins is only able to get 0.285. It whips to what Seville has set so far in this session, but both of them still in the league of their own, as they are over a second ahead of Zach Finney, who is no slouch of a driver themselves. Martin Thorpe goes up into 10th position. That's 2.4 seconds back from the pole time, and is just about 3 tenths back, actually no, just less than 3 tenths back than Oliver Knowles in 9th position. And that is a split in classes. Thorpe driving in the pro, Knowles driving in the amateur class. Alex Shahabi is here as well today. oNiD regular, has won multiple championships with us and will be looking probably for a decent top 5 podium result here today. It's green in the first sector, is about, well, just under half a second off of what Seville was able to set in that sector though, and again is just over half a second off in the second sector again. But these are green times, personal bests for Alex Shabi in this session, and to be honest, it's still probably good enough to get him inside somewhere within the top 5 as it currently stands. So we'll have to see what Shabi's able to pull out of this final corner now. Gets on to start, finish straight. Let's see. Can they slot themselves anywhere near Manders and Zach Finney? Manders actually on pole in the AMS class as it currently stands. Where does Shabi go, though? It's good enough to jump into 5th position, so slots into the top 5 onto the 3rd row of the grid. Martin Ford comes across the line. Are they going to improve? Yes, up to 7th position, and very close to Tyler Hammer on that time as well. So a decent job by both the Consecutus guys there. 1 in 5th, 1 in 7th. Now Pezzi Jelinek in the Team Penske 2023 24 Hours of Le Mans livery. Much lift missed as well. What a lovely looking car as it comes on to The straight now is green, green, and will it be green for the final sector as well? It looks like it is. Comes across the line, and that's good enough to put Petter into 11th position for now, just over 2 seconds off of the pole position time.
Yeah, that's like further in front again. Zach Finney with a good opening sector, good decent middle sector as well, trying to close the gap up to the top two, maybe get himself in between Seville and Bevan if possible, up towards the line now. We wait for the time, and it is good enough for P2. 0.08 of a second in front of Bevan, but still 0.2 off of the other pair, as Alfie Bevan then improves, and so does Seville, put themselves back onto the front row together, but Seville leading by just over 0.3 ahead of Bevan.
Yeah, still very close at the top, especially between Finney and Bevan at the moment. Can Zach Finney be able to pull off a shock in this session, taking it away from the two championship protagonists in this series? As Petr Jelinek also improving again. It's a green in the first, green in the second, so they're personal bests for Petr Jelinek. Now just has to deal with the final corner as they come back onto this long straight again, as we previously mentioned. Also, where the Olympics finished their cycling race when the Tokyo held the Olympics, is coming across the start-finish line now, and it's good enough to improve into 9th position for Petr Jelinek. Tom Watson now will come across the line in the oNiD Toyota, and it's up to 13th position, just behind Oliver Knowles in the end. And Charlie Morgan running in an oNiD Porsche livery. This is the first time I've seen this, looking very nice on that car. Currently runs down in 14th position, coming through Dunlop now. It's a green first sector, but just as we caught them coming through the middle sector, it is down from their personal best. It's a yellow, but still pretty competitive. So we'll see what Chai Mong is able to do, though. But that's not going to help, though. We've got a load of oversteer there coming out of the second to last corner, and that's not going to be helpful for their final time. Currently in 14th, about 2 tenths or less back from Watson. So now, as Charlie Morgan comes up towards the start-finish line, is it good enough to improve? I don't think... Oh, no, I take it back. I think it was. Yes, it was. It's up to 10th position. So a nice little improvement there for Charlie Morgan. In the end, Martin Thorpe stays in 7th position. Zach Silver comes up to cross the start-finish line and slots into 9th position. Just pops in ahead of Petr Jelinek and behind Yaroshenko. Manda still leads the amateur standings. Then Yaroshenko 2nd and Zach Silver in 3rd. Alex Parkin now currently sits in 16th, but it was an orange and an orange and an orange. But sets a green in the final sector, but it's still only well enough to stay in 16th. 16 cars running with us today so far. Obviously, drivers can still drop in before the race start, but Dmitry Yaroshenko now green first sector, but that's going to throw it away. Loses the back end coming around the second to last corner and sends it into that Total Energy tire wall.
Yeah, it seems like most people have taken a moment to head back into pit lane, pick up a new set of tyres. That front left tyre will be suffering over a longer stint. So yeah, a lot of drivers opting go pit lane out, currently on out laps or getting themselves back up to speed. But we head now to an Alpine of Adisa Carpenter joining us for the first time this round of the season. They've been partaking in the Academy season on Wednesdays. Our Sim Hound Academy for the inexperienced or slightly slower drivers to learn their trade and get up to speed. And Eddie running on a controller, interestingly, proving to be relatively quick, but still lacking a bit of consistency, the odd mistakes, and a bit of misfortune as well. Had actually missed a qualifying session from a car being on fire earlier in the season. Has caused them to have some struggles, but they've decided to dip their toes into the deeper end of our series, trying out the 100 series from for the next 2 weeks. See how they're currently running in P12, but not far off. Petr Jelinek is less than half a tenth in front of them in P10, so we'll see if they can improve later on. Our drivers towards the front, starting to put laps together once again. Nick Manders seeing if they can maybe challenge the top 3.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting as well. Nick Mander's running in the AMS class, and obviously with the championship leader Ben Shorley not being here today, Nick Mander's in a hot seat to go to the top of that championship. We'll come across the start-finish line now. Can he do a bit of a Shorley and put it into the top two? No, it is an improvement, a 1 minute 25.078, but it's only enough to stay in fourth position. Obviously, they'll still start on the second row of the grid. Speaking of which, Zach Silver, green, orange in the middle sector. Is it going to be another green in the last sector? It is. Moves up into sixth position. So a great time there. 1 minute 25.720 set by Silver. That's good enough to put them into second position now in the amateur class. So Silver showing some great pace in the Cadillac. Mindful makes a little bit of a mistake though. I think may have slightly locked the rear end there as they came up towards Net's corner there, and that sent them wide across the grass. Was a green first sector, orange in the middle, but I assume they won't improve on this lap now because of that little mistake. Tyler Hammer is back with us this week in the oNiD Toyota, the top of the oNiD cars in this session, as he's currently green in the first and second sectors, taking all of the curb there on the outside of the circuit. I'm not sure if that's what they would have wanted to do, but still are going to head up towards the start-finish line again. Currently sits in seventh in this race. We'll probably want to get ahead of maybe some of the AM runners that are ahead of him, like Zach Silver. Comes across the line, and it is an improvement, but not enough to go ahead of Zach Silver. Just a couple of thousandths between them there as Ollie Knowles comes across the line. Does improve their time, but stays in 11th as well. But, well, I mean, the field is very close at the moment.
That makes it 4 cars within half a tenth of a second from 10th to 13th. Any little improvement for these drivers, just getting a lap hooked together, could get them up a couple of rows. Meanwhile, at the front, Jonathan Savell stretching their legs, opening the gap up to the lead. 0.362 now is the gap between them and Bevan, between the Cadillac and Ferrari driver, but still a little bit of time. 2.5 minutes left in the session, but not much more time for these drivers to get final laps in. Let's go back to Tyler Hammer. Maybe made a little mistake at the end of the final laps in getting onto the curb into the final corner, dragged the car wide and lost them a bit of momentum. Can they keep it a little bit tidier here? They're running out to the curb, keep off the curb, gets the car turned in a little bit better, and so has hopefully picked up a couple of temps. Will this be enough to get them up the grid? How far up the grid? If so, they're coming up to the line now. 2 personal best sectors. It should hopefully be a third, and that'll be enough for P5. Jumping in front of Martin Thorpe, 1.35 off the top, but importantly, sort of best of the rest, it looks like, as the top 4 just seem to be a little out of reach.
Yeah, I mean, really impressive by Nick Manders as well. The pace that's come on in that Porsche for them to be setting such competitive times inside that top 4 and challenging, probably, well, could be challenging for a third position, but only a minute and 20 seconds now to go in this session. Alfie, was 2 tenths off in the first sector, about a tenth off in the middle sector, and both orange times, but it's a big improvement coming from the final sector. Comes across the line, and it's, well, still not enough. It isn't a green sector, well, it isn't even a personal best lap time for themselves, so we'll stay in second. At least we'll start alongside Seville as it all currently stands, but still has time to go around to set another lap. Charlie Morgan is coming up towards start-finish line as well, but also is a little bit off of the times they've been setting in this session. Orange, and again, orange in the final sector, so not enough to improve their lap time either. Here comes Aduza Carpenter, comes across the line, but again, they don't improve either. Stays in 13th. Tom Watson, also not having great first and second sectors, but can they put anything back in the final sector? No, it's only good enough to stay 15th. Ollie Knowles, green in the middle sector, so this could potentially be an improvement, but orange in the first and again orange in the last, so that's not an improvement either. Dmitry Yoshenko, 2 pole positions in the AMS class so far this season. Can they make it a third? No, they can't. Stays in 9th in that class. Also, probably worth mentioning Nick Mander's first pole of the season. If Zach Silver isn't able to do anything, and that's not going to help either. Got too greedy on that sausage curb, like I mentioned at the start of the stream, and that pushed him out wide onto the grass. That is going to lose Zach Silver some time. And with it's orange in the first sector, orange in the middle. Was only 3 tenths off in the middle sector though, and was just under 9 tenths off in the first. So could potentially be on for a good lap here. Maybe if Zach's able to pull something out of this final sector, we'll come onto the start finish straight now under that DHL advertising board, and we'll come across the line. It is an improvement and goes into 8th position there, so with the improvement, as it seems like everyone else has given it their all, and it seems especially Dmitry Yoshenko, who's I think thrown that off on the exit of the Dunlop corner, which is less than ideal. Tyler Hammer comes across the line. I don't think that was no, it's not an improvement. At 1 minute 25.574, so they'll have to settle for a 5th place starting spot. Ollie Knowles obviously doesn't feel like they're going to improve either in the Prototypo. Porsche is bringing that down now into the pit lane, and I'm not sure who else is still on the lap. Comes under that FIA advertising board, and that looks like it's it for our qualifying session.
Yeah, let's just have a little look at those session results. It's Jonathan Savelle on pole position by 0.362 ahead of Alfie Bevan, then Zach Finney in 3rd, 0.615 off. Nick Manders in sort of bit of a lonely 4th ahead of Tyler Hammer. This is where the field bunches up now. Martin Thorpe within a 10th, and Alex Shahabi down in 7th. Zach Silver in P8 ahead of Yaroshenko, someone who I expected to be a little bit further up in 9th. Adusa Carpenter entering the series with a top 10 finish, as we now look at the second page. Peter Yelnik in 11th. Ollie Knowles in P12. Charlie Morgan in 13th. Look how close those 3 drivers are. I mean, that is 300ths of a second separating them. Bernard Bertelsen is then in 14th, have Tom Watson in 15th, game very close between those 2, and then Alex Parkin really struggling tonight, but can hopefully get through the race cleanly, maybe pick up a couple of places from other drivers' struggles.
So that is our qualifying order. Also probably worth mentioning, so Nick Manders on pole in the AMS class, but Zach Silver not too far behind, so that should create some interesting racing from the amateur runners as well. It means that Nick Manders hopefully shouldn't run away with that class as well. And also, it seems pretty close at the top as well between, especially between Alfie and Jonathan Seville at this point in the session. But Zach Finney and Nick Manders as well, probably also worth mentioning, not too far off their pace either. So a mistake for either one of those drivers, like we've seen before, could spell costly. So I think there's still a lot to look forward to in this race.
Yep, there still is. It'll be interesting to see if drivers go different ways on tyre strategy. I remember my first race on this game. It was at this track, of course, with the chicane layout. It was 2 times fuel usage in tyre wear. One car I was racing with decided not to change tyres. I changed all 4. We ended the next stint in the exact same positions that we started or ended the previous stint. 2 completely different directions, and it was that close. So it'll be interesting to see which way people go. Either way, both strategies could be competitive. Our drivers are now setting off for the start of the formation lap. End of the formation lap, you could say, as they come round the final corner and making the long run up to the line. It's still a fair run down to the tight hairpin of T1. Tricky braking zone. How well will our drivers fare into there? Hopefully no one locks up. Hopefully no one goes bowling. But how they'll fare, we'll just have to wait and see. Crawling up to the line. The green light will not be far away to send us away for 100 minutes of racing.
Yeah, and it's such a big one for the championship. 2 wins apiece, Alfie and Jonathan Seville. But we've got 2 contenders behind. of Nick Manders and Zach Finney, and it is green for round 5 of the oNiD Sim Hound 100 series, powered by Coach Dave Academy. And as we head down towards turn 1, it seems like Alfie's under some pressure here from Zach Finney as the two Ferraris going to run side by side. I think Bevins is going to stay ahead, and Finney's still going to try and squeeze down the inside, but the door swiftly closed by Alfie Bevins there. Nick Manders hasn't really got a chance to sneak into this battle either, so it seems like Zach's the only one that's going to try and split these two leading runners up, but it seems like that window has well and truly shut now as they make their way for the first time through 100R up towards turn 6 now at the hairpin, and these drivers are all looking quite clean. Track temperature 36 degrees. It doesn't seem like anyone's off yet. Oh no, I've said a bad thing because now yellow flags have come out, but never mind. Dmitry Yaroshenko holding on to 10th position in this race from Petty Yelenek thinking about switching back to the inside as they come through Dunlop corner, skipping the chicane, obviously, if you're only just joining us. And now as they head up, they start their ascent back up the circuit through turn 13, through turn 14, into next corner now. Dmitry Yaroshenko doing a good job of staying ahead of the leading runners at the moment, but Alex Shahabi actually having a fight with Martin Ford, both Consexus drivers now running side by side as they make their way onto the start-finish straight, running together as they head under the DHL advertising board, and they are going to be side by side as they come across the line. But it's also the Alpine of Carpenter could be involved in this battle as well, getting a lovely slipstream from the Works liveried Ferrari. Doesn't slip out of the slipstream, nearly locks up into the back of Martin Forpers. Alex Shahabi gets down the inside and gets the move done, but a great start by Carpenter up into 9th position, has made it inside the top 10 in the field, especially on a controller as well. Really great driving ability and knowledge of the game being shown so far in this race. Taking a lovely tight line as well there through 100R as we come out of turn 6 through turn 7. It seems like everyone's started to find their flow a little bit in this race as the field starts to kind of separate out into its own order.
Yeah, it has been a clean getaway for Seville at the front of the field, leading by 1.5 seconds. Now, drama though at the start, that was Ollie Knowles that fell foul of it. We'll see what happened here as they go through 100 hard, now into the tight left-hander of turn 6. The hairpin just gets together with the Proton Porsche there, finds themselves facing in towards barrier, having to try and turn around, realizing they can't, just hit the, clip the barrier and have again to reverse. Luckily, the Porsche, of course, able to use its hybrid from a standstill, no risk of stalling. Meant it wasn't too difficult to get away, but still a lot of time lost. Now dropped to the bottom of the field. 25 seconds off the lead, 8 seconds off the next car in front of them.
Yeah, as Petty Yelenek and Dmitry Yaroshenko are still fighting with one another. This is for a place inside the top 10 in the field as they now will make their way up towards 100R. And yeah, these two kind of still separated from one another. The gap it was just under 4 tenths, just under 5 tenths, slowly going up now. It seems like Petter's not got the pace, particularly at the moment, to keep with Dmitro, but it takes a tighter line through turn 6. That's going to close the gap back up again. And to try and bring the gap back down, and is kind of slowly fluctuating. We've got Fiona Zombie here in the Peugeot. I believe this is the first round they are joining us for, and I know Zombie isn't their, well, I don't think it is their last name. Signed up with something different on SimGrid, I mean, but I can't remember their surname, but I will have a look through my notes in just a second. But Runa Bertolson going up the inside and past the Peugeot. The Peugeot going to go for the switchback and sending it around the outside. Oh, but sadly is gone off of the circuit. As they mentioned, only joining us for the race. Missed the qualifying session because of, I think it was prior family commitments they put in the Twitch chat. And it means they are going to lack some experience coming into this race. But still good, they've turned up and looking like they're having a great time, having a good fight there with Runa Bertolson. We're still 1 hour and 35 minutes to go in this one as they will come across the start-finish line again to start us on to another lap. At the front of the field, Seville really stretching out his legs. 4 seconds, well, over 4 seconds is already the gap to the race leader, and that's actually because Alfie's under some pressure from Zach Finney at the moment, and Nick Manders and Zach Silver. So Alfie, from the previous rounds we've seen, not really putting away from the field at the moment, seems to be struggling to put in these consistent lap times, and it does take my mind back to what. Oh, my Siri's just gone off. And no, it takes my mind back to when I raced here in our first championship with oNiD at Fuji on one of our Monday series. And I do remember Alfie, I think he was running at the front of the field, but did have an off here in the wet, and it was wet weather conditions in a Ford Mustang. So maybe Fuji isn't one of Alfie's stronger venues. Maybe this is one that isn't one of their favourites, and it may just be one that they may just be lacking some pace at, as again the gaps was, well, it's opened up to, we're still under a second between Finney and Bevan, so it's still it's definitely not the dominance we usually expect to see from Alfie at some of these races, as Tyler Hammer and Alex Shahabi come on to start finish straight. Shahabi in a really good position to come and attack into turn one. Doesn't feel like they have the speed though to come up alongside, so he's going to have to stay behind Tyler Hammer now. These were kind of the best of the rest drivers in the session so far, but Silver has actually been able to jump Hammer at the start of this race, and it's actually opened up to over 2 second gap to the Toyota as well. Of course, this venue as well also, I believe, actually, yeah, no, I believe is owned by Toyota. They bought the circuit from Mitsubishi in the year 2000. So it is a bit of a home venue for them. Like to, well, in the World Endurance Championship, like to run strong here. But today, I wouldn't say Tyler Hammer isn't running strong, but would probably like to have stayed ahead of Zach Silver and been able to match their pace, but just hasn't been able to do that so far in the race. As we will make our way up the circuit again through turns 13, now through 14, then into the tighter 15 corner. It's a tighter line taken by Alex Shahabi, but that's going to drive him wider on the apex of the corner. And allows Tyler Hammer to get a bit better traction as they get into the braking zone again for Panasonic corner, as they make their way onto the start-finish straight again. Such a long straight as well. It's flat for so long. Look, already into 6th gear as they come onto the straight. Now into 7th gear, nearly at 300 kilometers an hour there as they come down the start-finish straight. And actually running side by side in the background, Dmitry Yaroshenko and Duza Carpenter, as Dmitry Yaroshenko has some damage to the front end of that car, so it suggests they've been in the wars a little bit, and is going to look to the inside of Duza here, and is not going to be able to get past in the end, but doing a good job. Oh, gets into the back though of the Alpine, and that's going to bring Petr Jelinek into this as well now. It seems like the Ferrari's struggling a little bit, not too much though, but it was definitely struggling to find a way through and past the Alpine driver. And again, Carpenter doing a great job on controller at the moment. It's staying ahead of, well, someone that's took 2 pole positions in the AM class so far this season, and a very competitive pro runner in Petr Jelinek, but it's making it look like a breeze as they run on their controller at the moment, if it's still a controller, as they now head up towards turn 13 and continue their way around this lap.
Yeah, Yaroshenko getting put into the difficult spot of trying to attack while having to defend. The Alpine running just a little bit wide in front. Very able to adapt, not quite able to get into the inside there, but Jelinek then running in deep, sort of following the Alpine. Now allows Ferrari to close back up to Eddie. And the Porsche just dropping back a little bit with the slipstream. As you mentioned, that damage on the front of the Ferrari, maybe just holding it back slightly. Yaroshenko struggling to close back up further in front. Shahabi still trying to put the pressure on Tyler Hammer. Not able to get past just yet. And if you were paying very close attention while we were on board with Shahabi, you may have noticed the front left tyre of Tyler Hammer is a hard tyre. So if we have a little look through the field, these are the people that are running hard tyres. You can see Shahabi is another one with that red sidewalled front left tyre mediums around the rest of the corners. We can see Martin Thorpe just behind, also running that, as well as Charlie Morgan. Interesting, Tom Watson running a full set of hard tyres. So be keen to see how that strategy plays out. It'll probably come stronger towards the end of the race, but still a long way before we get there. 90 minutes left. We're only 10 minutes into the race, only a 10th of the way there.
It's gone quickly so far as this battle continues on between Hammer and Alex Shahabi. Shahabi gets I think took more of the curb onto the straight there, but then runs a little bit wide on the apex, oh well, not the apex, the exit of the corner. They'll come onto the straight. The gap is slowly coming down, but I really do not think it's going to be close enough this time for Alex Shabby to try the move on Tyler Hammer. Let's have a look. They'll come into the braking zone now, gets onto the brakes and nearly into the back of Tyler Hammer. Does Alex Shabby. That just shows how close and how smooth Alex is trying to be onto the brakes into turn 1. And we'll turn the car now up towards 100R. Gets a little bit twitchy there as they take a lot of the curbs, try and hook them into that left-hander. And also Zach Silver doing a good job, still ahead of these guys as we have a yellow flag come out on circuit. As again, it's Alex Shabby trying to get a little bit of a switchback, trying to take that tighter line on exit, but just spins up the rear tyres by the looks of it. Which meant that they fell back ever so slightly now as they come into the Dunlop corner. You can see Alex taking a lot more curb there compared to Tyler Hammer, was able to run on the curbs there, and it seems like that Ferrari is just a lot more happy sitting on the curbs than the Toyota is, as you can see following them. It seems like the Toyota is trying to make a deal of not sitting the car on the curbs, where the Ferrari is able to kind of just munch them up as they now make their way out of the final corner onto the start finish straight. And again, a lot closer this time for Alex Shabby. So is this going to be the opportunity that Alex has been looking for over this lap? And oh, that's a time missing. Oh, that's Dmitry Yaрошenko. That is not good. Two-time pole position sitter in this series, in the amateur class, I should point out. And, well, has been having a great series running in the AMS class. Is currently third in that class themselves, only 6 points off the top. Oh, and Runa Patolfsson off as well. That's not good either. Runa running in 7th in the championship, but worse from Dmitry Yaрошenko. It's been so consistent so far in the season. Has had a 7th, a 5th, a 1st and a 2nd in the amateur standings. With the 2 drop rounds, it means the 1st and the 2nd are the only one that are counted so far. And with that, it does mean with a bad result here today, it is going to drop them back from Nick Manders in the fight for the championship. Both of them should jump ahead of Ben Shorley, who has missed the 3rd round this season.
Let's try and see what happened with Yaрошenko first. Coming up towards Dunlop corner, can see that's Porsche Toyota, gets onto the grass, all 4 wheels onto the grass. That spins the car in towards the wall, heavy hit on the Armco barrier, and in, as you would expect, front right tire disappearing off the car. It'll be very difficult to get that car back. But we also had, as now just got the car back to pit lane, it is going to be quite a long repair though for that Ferrari. Very heavy collision on the front end of the car. Expect to see it there for 2, maybe 3 minutes in total. Meanwhile, Ollie Knowles has also come up for having an issue. Let's see if we can pick this one out. Again, coming out of turn 6, a hairpin on the way down to Dunlop. Braking in for the fast right-hander, and camera... looks like that might have just been a lag moment. We also had a moment for Charlie Morgan in the final sector as they come through the left-hander into now the final corner. Did they have a little spin? Oh no, it looks like just a little bit of a lag moment. So they're carrying on. But yeah, of course, Patolfsson also having the spin out of the final corner. But still, Shahabi still trying to attack and get past Tyler Hammer. These two not too far away from Zach Silver in front. Tyler has just slowly been chipping the gap away. You can see just over a second in front as they come across the line. We'll get a little update on how this lap has been compared to each other. So let's have a look. Time just over 2/10. Tyler Hammer closed in last lap. So just chipping away at that gap. Maybe going to turn this into a 3-way battle sooner or later.
Yeah, in terms of AMs running, it won't affect Silver too much. It'll mean they hold on to their second in the AMs class. But of course, Zach Silver will want the bragging rights and finishing higher up the order. So it does bring that into play. But the thing is as well, they are closing in. But it may become more of a struggle depending on if Alex Shabi starts attacking Tyler Hammer. But the thing is as well, if Alex realizes that they're both catching up to Zach Silver, it may be a bit of a point ahead. Like, keep pushing, I'll stay behind. And we can both make up a position here, and then we can get into our fight. But, oh gosh, it doesn't look that way. It's Alex Shabi really wriggling all over the grass on the outside of the circuit, and it's an off for Tom Watson. That's at 100R there. It's look by the looks of it. Yeah, now comes through turn 6 and heads up towards turn 9, which is 300R. So that's a little bit of an off for themselves, and this battle continues on. It doesn't look like Alex Shabi's giving Tyler Hammer the opportunity to push on without having to worry about attack from behind, because Alex is right in his win mirrors at the moment as they will come across the start-finish line now. And it's further back than they have been before, so I don't think Alex Shabi's going to go for a move. It would be a shock if they did, and it's not in the end, so they will just gently go through turn 1 and start pushing on towards Zach Silver again. So they'll come up towards this left-hander now, up and then up towards 100R again. This long right-hander, you have to be very patient around here. Don't get on the throttle too early, otherwise it's going to drag you very much out wide as they come towards turn 6 now. And it's Alex Shabi obviously not going for a move, but he's definitely applying pressure to Tyler Hammer, who themselves is probably thinking, no, get out of my mirrors, I just want to push on and get towards the Cadillac that's running ahead of me, and then we can both easily make up a move. And oh my gosh, Dukes of Hazzard there from Zach Silver, got probably nearly all 4 wheels off the ground there as they took so much sausage curb. That's going to cost them a lot of time over this lap, and it is bringing them into the grasp of Tyler Hammer. Hammer's going to be within attacking zone, probably within the next lap now. Isn't going to be close enough coming onto the straight as they will come out the final corner now. Does get a decent run, but is also having to look behind in the win mirrors to see what Alex Shabi is doing. Shabi does have that slipstream, but the gap isn't coming down by too much. The gap just under 2.5 tenths there. Now will just about, as they come across the line, drop under 2 tenths. But is it close enough for Alex Shabi to go for a move? We'll look in the mirrors. No, it's not. Alex stays behind on the racing line, but a little bit of a mistake there by Tyler Hammer. Runs the car out a little bit wide, and that could be what Alex Shabi is looking for. But no, still hasn't come back here. And it does look like, Tyler Hammer can at least focus a little bit back on Zach Silver, who does look a little bit under pressure. Kicks up some dirt there through 100R. And again, the gap doesn't look, visually looks like it's coming down by quite a bit as we'll come to... oh my gosh, Jonathan Seville. Seville is off of the road at 300R. That is our race leader completely off the circuit, and the car is not moving. Is it terminal damage? That is the question. This could be huge for Alfie Bevan in the championship. Both these drivers came into the round tied on points. We'll come to a replay. And, very odd for 100R. And he's flipped. He's rolled over at least 2 times there. Gone straight on into the Goodyear advertising boards. And that is huge for the championship. And it looks like car retired.
I want to say there's maybe a hardware failure in that, but it has gifted Alfie Bevan the lead of the race. It was a massive gap. It was 7, maybe 8 seconds, the lead that Seville had. He was looking in commanding control to take the victory, but now out of the race after a huge incident. Interestingly, didn't lose any tyres, but yeah, it looks like a hardware failure. In the background, see Martin Thorpe running really wide into turn 1, but Alex Shabi having a go at Tyler Hammer into turn 1. Not quite able to get the move off this time. We'll have to sit back as Tyler still trying to close in on Zach Silver in front. But we'll try and see. They were very close as they came into T1 with the slipstream. Shabi doesn't look too close here, but maybe a mistake on braking. Closes up a lot in the braking zone. Gets to the inside. Runs it in a little bit deep. Tyler Hammer able to get the cutback. Hold on to the place. But Shabi not waiting around too much, is still sort of pushing, keeping the pressure on Tyler Hammer. And I think if they do get the opportunity to go for a move, I think they'll take it to try and have an attack at Zach Silver themselves.
Yeah, this really, Tyler Hammer's getting a bit of a sandwich here. So much to think about as Alex Shahabi falls back behind. But a great move, a last minute dart to the inside. Really looks like they were kind of putting everything on the brakes there, hoping the car would stop for the corner. And luckily it did, but not enough to stay ahead though, as Tyler Hammer obviously still hunting down Zach Silver. And as they come onto the brakes, really there's not much between them now as they come onto this lap. It's about 7 tenths up the road is Silver, and then actually less than 500 behind is Alex Shahabi. So these guys are really battling with one another now, and Zach Silver has dropped into the grasps of Tyler Hammer, as long as Hammer isn't too distracted by Alex Shahabi. So as they go through turn 6, the closer of the attackers at the moment is Alex Shahabi, still tucking right into the rear of the Toyota. The Cadillac still doing enough to just about eke an advantage ahead, not having to worry too much about a late dive bomb from the Toyota. We have seen that the Cadillac struggles around Dunlop Corner though. This time seems to have done okay. The gap slightly closes up. The gap now being just over half a second, whereas Alex Shahabi just under 2 tenths behind what the oNiD car is able to do. They'll come up towards Panasonic Corner now, and yeah, the one definitely under pressure this time around is Tyler Hammer yet again as they come onto the start finish straight. It's about 300ths though. This gap has been a lot smaller though when they have come onto this straight, so it does look like the Ferrari isn't going to be able to be close enough unless it's some sort of late dive on the Toyota, which Alex Shahabi has already attempted. They'll come into the braking zone now, and obviously again so much stronger on the brakes by the Ferrari. Just seems to be able to apply that pressure to the brake pedal a lot smoother, and it just glides to a stop as it goes into turn 1, but obviously not enough to pull alongside. So as they make their way now through turn 3, now up towards turns 4 and 5, part 100R part of the circuit, as they will go into turn 6 now, comes onto the brakes, turns the car in, does Alex Shahabi. Seems again so much stronger on the brakes, just isn't able to get that power down to pull alongside out of the corner as they go through 300R. And the thing is as well, Zach Silver doesn't look under too much pressure now. The gap really kind of stabilizing where it has been for the past few laps now.
Yeah, it seems like Tyler Hammer's just constantly getting a good exit out of the final corner, getting enough of a gap that the straight line speed of the Toyota is able to hold in front. Even with the slipstream that Shahabi has, it's not enough for them to get close enough and to have that attack into T1 that they've been threatening every lap. Even did have that one attempt, but as went in too deep, Tyler got the cutback, but still not quite getting close enough to the Corvette in front of them. Runner Bertolson did have another issue themselves and has now dropped them 2 laps off the back of the field, and Yaroshenko of course dropping back minutes as well. Seville is showing is still in the server, but it doesn't look like they have moved. They seem like they've disappeared, so I think that's just a little server bug. I do believe they're completely out of the race, but this is still our closest battle on track. Tyler Hammer closing up on Zach Silver and has been closing up on this lap a bit as well. That gap now under half a second, and when this Toyota gets slipstream from the Corvette as well, it'll be even more difficult for the Ferrari to make a move, not unless Zach is going to hold Tyler Hammer up through the middle section. A little bit wide there for Zach Silver. Let's just have a look. How much time did they lose last lap? It was only 12 thousandths last lap. So they're able to lap at a similar pace to Tyler Hammer behind, but seemingly lost a little bit of time this lap. Tyler wide there through turn 13, now into the final turn, turn 14. Zach looks like to get a slightly better exit. I tell you what, looks like it's Shahabi that's the closest here, closer to the rear bumper of Tyler Hammer. Going to be getting a stronger slipstream towards T1. This might be the move that the Ferrari driver gets the move done.
He's been waiting for it for a number of laps now. Will this be opportunity? He pulls alongside to the right-hand side of the circuit, goes to the inside, and pulls it off. It means that Tyler Hammer had to run right around that corner. The door was basically completely open, and Alex Shabby walked straight through and moves up into 5th position in this race, and now can solely focus on, well, not actually probably solely focus, but can now turn their attention to overtaking Zach Silver, which already looks like they're going for the gap coming down exponentially as they come up towards turn 6, and it seems like Silver's really going to struggle with Alex Shabby in their mirrors.
Shahabi putting the pressure on now. Having got one move done, maybe that's given them a bit of confidence to go and push on towards Zach Silver. God, that car, that's the Peugeot of Fiona, and they'll get to the inside into turn 11. Into this tricky final sector now. Potential move on the inside here if you're really brave. Shahabi not feeling quite that brave, and just thinking sensibly. Good run over the final corner, and the slipstream will be strong. But that Corvette is known for being quite quick on the racing line. We've got Toyota going a bit slowly. I believe that's Alex Parkin. It is indeed. Who's going a bit slowly around the final corner. That's going to be a bit of a battle as that allows Fiona to close up to them. But on board with Shahabi is closing up. Zach Silver is going to defend to the inside. Shahabi, no choice but to go to the outside. How brave do they feel on the brakes to try and hang around the outside? They turn in to the side of Zach Silver, but Zach holds on for another lap. In the background, we mentioned that battle over P13. This is Fiona looking to the outside of Parkin as they come into turn 4. An awkward corner to go side by side. You can see the hesitation from both drivers. Neither of them confident going side by side through the quick left-hander, ending up with a bit of contact, but both continue on. No real harm done. Bit of a lock up there from the Toyota as they head into the turn 6 hairpin, but back in front, Shahabi and Zach Silver going out once again. Shahabi, good exit off the hairpin, gets to the outside of Zach Silver, will not hang it the long way round, and Tyler Hammer now looking for an opportunity as Shahabi continues to attack Zach Silver, but Silver holding on for now. How much longer can they hold on for? Because they seem to just be clinging on with the last of their hope, clinging on by really their fingertips at this point to P4, to effectively best of the rest. Can Shahabi not close enough this time? Perhaps fell back a little bit in the final corner. Doesn't quite have the slipstream. Zach Silver pulls out. It'll be about 6 tenths by the time they get to T1. But Tyler Hammer waiting in the mirrors, waiting for that opportunity for something just to go little wrong for either of the drivers in front of them and to pounce for position.
Yeah, this battle really keeping us glued to our screens at the moment. Tyler Hammer definitely not falling off in the background, and Alex Shahabi having a little bit of a tough time trying to find their way through and past Zach Silver. And then the thing is as well, after this, it's a 15-second gap to Nick Manders up the road. So Nick Manders ahead in the AMS class by an absolute mile and is going for an overall podium, which would be a great result for Nick Manders in this session, and is still less than 5 seconds off of Alfie in the lead of this race as well. So I mean, it's still all to play for at the front of the field as well, with the pit stops still to come in this race as well, as we still follow these guys though through turn 13 up towards turn 14, then through Net's corner. And yeah, this could be more of an opportunity this time, but the gap's still 4 tenths. And again, this is a bit of the circuit where I think Alex kind of struggles a little bit, because he takes a lot tighter lines than everyone else, which just then kind of dragged them wide on the exit of the corner, which again, as you can see, is happening this time because the gap opens up to Zach Silver as they come onto the start-finish straight. So the slipstream not even strong enough to pull the Ferrari towards the Cadillac V Series R as they come across the start-finish line into turn 1 now. You see the Ferrari is a lot stronger on the brakes. We've seen that this season, and as they come into braking zone now, gap just staying within half a second of one another. And yeah, it's good. Alex Shahabi is kind of finding the same issues that Tyler Hammer was, that Zach Silver is one tricky driver to pass, and especially once they get close as well. Zach Silver, a very strong defensive driver as well, knows how to hold on to their position, but always he left the door open. I think he has through turn 6. down the inside comes Alex Shabby. Is it going to be close enough? No. It just takes a two-sided line, isn't able to get the power down, and that allows Zach Silver to carry on ahead there. You can see Silver try to force Shabby to stay as tight to the inside as possible, knowing it would compromise their exit, and that's exactly what they were able to do as they head through 13. Oh, and Silver runs wide, so this is again gives an opportunity on the switchback for the Ferrari driver. It's going to be Alex Shabby up the inside, Silver on the outside. They make contact with a little bit of oversteer there from Alex Shabby. That brings Tyler Hammer back into this battle, and we know Hammer was getting some decent runs onto this start-finish straight, so can the slipstream be strong enough here to present an opportunity to the Toyota to have a look for a way through as they head towards turn 1? And I think the answer is well and truly no. It seems the Toyota does not have the pace to pull alongside the Ferrari, so for now, it's Alex Shabby. It was a botched attack, but luckily has been able to keep it safe.
Yeah, they went a couple of laps where they weren't... Shabby wasn't quite close enough, not able to get alongside, and they started dropping Tyler Hammer. Second of a gap grew between them, but then Shahabi kept the foot in around 100R here, pushed that front left tire a little bit more as they're doing once again, and allowed them to get to the inside of the hairpin. Is it going to be a repeat this time round? Zach Silver holds it round the outside, carries the momentum, and will hold on to the place. Shahabi looks to be the stronger driver through 100R, but isn't quite able to complete the move on the inside of the hairpin. Zach just positioning right where they want them, and can see how much Shahabi is pushing, getting onto the grass on the exit of Dunlop, luckily surviving, unlike Yaroshenko earlier, and will continue to fight on. Had a sneaky attempt, mentioned there is an opportunity there, and Zach just being slightly compromised last lap allowed Shahabi to look up the inside, but that sort of unsettled moment jumping over the curb on the inside just meant that Zach Silver could hold on for another lap, and is continuing to hold on as Shahabi struggling to get back alongside. They're starting to drop Tyler Hammer a little bit again, but interestingly, looking at the virtual energy numbers, Tyler Hammer has 2% more than the drivers in front of them. So saving a little bit more energy, might be able to save a little bit of time in the pits, maybe jump one or two of the cars in front of them, as Zach Silver has a bad run through turn 3. This will allow Shahabi to get to the outside before even the exit of 100R. Hangs a long way round, gets onto the curb, gets onto the grass, and just gets the car stopped before running into the side of Zach Silver. This gives Tyler Hammer a run and closes right up these cars now, bumper to bumper, as they come down towards Dunlop corner. Tyler Hammer not quite having the acceleration, though, it must be said, to stick under the rear wing. Shahabi struggling a little bit to get the move done. Remember, Shahabi and Tyler Hammer both running hard tires on their front left. Zach Silver isn't, is running medium all round, and maybe that's just the difference, as allowing Shahabi to carry the speed through 100R, get close and have a look to the inside, which Shahabi is trying to do here. Sees the door open at the final corner. Zach Silver is going to try and hang it around the outside, can't quite keep it far enough alongside, and Shahabi slots in front, though Zach Silver hunting for the slipstream as they come down the start-finish straight. Isn't even really closing in. Shahabi holding the right-hand side line will guarantee themselves the inside of turn 1, but Zach Silver finally to the outside. They're about even as they get into the braking zone. Zach Silver a little earlier on the brakes. Shahabi runs a little bit wide. Can Zach Silver will get the run, though a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact as they now make their way to turn 3. Zach Silver on the outside once again. Shahabi with the inside. What does Silver decide to do? They have to slot back into line. Not quite enough space there, and we've seen how much stronger Shahabi has been through 100R for the last couple of laps, and so they hold on. Zach Silver, big lock-up, and go spinning off into the hairpin.
Big lock up there for Zach Silver, and that's going to lose a number of positions. Mine 4 goes through in the background as well. Silver back up to pace, but from all the way in 4th position, now finds themselves down in 7th position. Luckily, it's all pro runners around them, so staying 2nd in the amateur class. But yeah, just got a little bit too flustered there, got a little bit too greedy, and thought they could go for the move down the inside potentially and just kind of lock the car up completely.
we'll watch this back on board with Zach Silver through this long right-hander, taking a tighter line, maybe getting onto the throttle here, thinking if they could carry extra momentum, then gone to the brakes and just locked the ring. Can see the car instantly spinning, had to wait. Of course, the Chevy, another one of the cars with able to drive off on the hybrid, so no risk of stalling, and Zach Silver will continue on. Now heading towards turn 1, we have had another retirement of the race. This time it is Runar Betolfsen that has retired. We did also get word in of Seville's problem. Their wheel disconnected and then their game crashed. So that's unfortunately the reason why we are missing Seville, as they were dominantly leading the race. Back up front, however, Alfie Bevan obviously taking the lead after that misfortune for Seville. Has opened the gap up to 4.6 seconds. Is using a bit more energy. It has 2% less energy than Zach Finney, 4% less than Nick Manders behind. But with the gaps are now being opened up, that little difference in energy shouldn't make any difference.
So yeah, it's kind of, that's with that round being over, this race has kind of separated itself out. The closest gap is still Hammer and Alex Shabby, but that's opened up to 1.3 seconds now in the last couple of laps. And with that being said as well, the next closest battle is nearly around about 2 seconds apart, and that's Silver and Martin Thorpe's gap. Well, Thorpe's gap to Hammer and Silver's gap to Martin Thorpe. So at this stage in the race, it has just slightly cooled off a little bit, and we are seeing people settling into the race. A brief yellow out on circuit, but whoever that was has corrected themselves as we go back to green in all parts of the circuit. Alfie doing a great job still staying at the front of this race after, well, kind of taking the lead after wheel issues and, well, PC issues, as we mentioned just a second ago, for Jonathan Seville. And that's going to be huge for Alfie in the championship. Obviously, they both come into this round tied on points, both of them having 84 points apiece. But with the drop rounds at stake, it should mean that Seville drops down the championship ever so slightly, because this will give Alfie it'll give Alfie 2 wins. And well, no, give Alfie 3 wins, and it will mean that Seville has a win. It has 2 wins and a second place, so it should marginally put Alfie ahead in the championship standings for the season. Zach Finney should move up into third as well, with Daniel Willems missing this round as well. So that's another change for the championship as well from this first couple of rounds. But as we come back to Adusa Carmenter and Oliver Knowles, 1.6 seconds is all that separates these two on circuit for the battle to finish inside the top 10 in the overall standings. And I think this has some stakes in the amateur class as well.
Yeah, you've seen their last lap 7 seconds quicker for Ollie Knowles, so I think that brief yellow flag we seen a lap ago was from Adusa in the Alpine. I see them coming up to lap the Peugeot, but now the gap 1.3 seconds is coming down a little more steadily than it was the previous lap, as they'll awkwardly side by side with the Peugeot as they come down the start-finish straight towards T1. The Peugeot won't fight that, we'll let them have the racing line into T1 as they continue to try and chase the Alpine. That's like the lap difference for the last lap. Now still 1.1 seconds closer, are closing in. Wonder how easy or how difficult the Alpine of Adusa will make this this move for the top 10, final top 10 position.
Yeah, big start as well for Adusa Carmenter, 45th start on Sim Racing GP for themselves. So starting to rank up the number of races they've been able to enter with us as well. And obviously Ollie Knowles is on that we are used to around here at oNiD as well. Has 4 wins, 20 podiums, and this is their 100th and 11th Sim Racing SimGrid start as well. So yeah, this battle should be interesting between the two of them. Kind of new name up against one of the old guards of oNiD. Once oNiD is able to get back onto the rear of Aduza Carpenter as they come onto the straight again. It's obviously not going to be close enough this time, with the gap being just over or 8.5 tenths as they come across the start-finish lines. And yeah, will be the battle for 10th position. It will also make up positions in the AM class. Charlie Morgan, I believe, running in third for the AMs, so this will be the battle for 4th position out of our amateur runners racing with us today. And fair play to Aduza Carpenter running so high up inside the amateur class as well on one of their first races, but all very sideways there at the rear as they headed through the left-hander at turn 3. That could have gone so easily around, but great job by Aduza Carpenter. Great crowd control to keep it facing the right way, but a little lock-up again on that left front. This is really bringing Oliver Knowles into this battle with Aduza Carpenter as they will make their way up towards Dunlop Corner now. And yeah, we'll have to see. Could this be an opportunity again? That left front really locking up now. Not liking going into these braking zones, is it, for the Alpine driver? And it is putting Aduza Carpenter under some pressure now as they Ollie Knowles now just has brought the gap to down less than half a tenth now through that corner. It's caught attempts because it's now less. Well, it's still less than half a tenth, but dropped down exponentially there as they come onto the start-finish straight as well. I think this is Alex Parkin running up ahead that these two are looking to lap as they head onto the start-finish straight. It seemed like Aduza got a better run though, so the gap extends out as they will head in towards turn 1. Ollie Knowles will not be able to get the move done this time and will summons the brakes and starts downshifting down the gearbox, drops the car into first gear, and the lap car not doing many favours for Aduza Carpenter into turn 1, and it has again dropped the gap to within, well, for a second there, just went under 4 attempts. And again, Ollie Knowles a lot stronger around this part of the circuit. It seems the controller just not able to put up with what the wheel can do in terms of smoothness through this part of the circuit, so it just allows Ollie Knowles to close up. And again, will there be that same lock up at the left front? No, the Alpine does enough, but this time outbrakes themselves, so Ollie Knowles is going to have much tighter run, and now around 300R is going to try and send that Porsche around the outside, still going for the outside, and will be covered off by the Alpine as they come into the Dunlop corner. Now as they skip past the chicanes and start going through this S part of the circuit, Ollie Knowles not close enough to make it count in this part of the circuit. Yeah, the gap has come down to where it was last time as the Alpine brakes a little bit later, runs wide off of the circuit. The Porsche is nearly alongside now. It is alongside now, but now as they come through out of the final corner, it's a tighter run, a little bit of a wriggle at the rear end, and that is going to cost Ollie Knowles coming onto the straight, because it does mean they have lost that slipstream, and it does mean the gap is going to open up, and it does, again, for the third thing, mean they've lost their opportunity to overtake into turn 1, and they've got to be careful now as they have one of the leaders behind them, I believe, of Alfie Bevan, as again, another lock-up for that Alpine. That's not going to help with that tyre longevity for them, and as they make their way again up towards 100R, this battle does continue on, and it is giving us a little bit something to look at.
Yeah, there's also a battle brewing in front of these two. Charlie Morgan putting pressure on Petter Jelinek. I think Petter made a little bit of a mistake last time round, was, as we can see, 1.5 seconds slower than Charlie Morgan. That's really what allowed that gap to close up, though. Charlie not quite able to stick right on the rear wing of Jelinek. The gaps are opening up a little bit through the final sector. Won't get any slipstream this lap around. Another battle closing in is Martin Thorpe, who's just trying to close in on Tyler Hammer, after Tyler, of course, involved in that battle with Shahabi and Zach Silver. Shahabi going clear now, 4 seconds up in front, but Martin Thorpe trying to close in the red Ferrari, and Zach Silver in the background trying to recover after that mistake. Took a bit of time, took 7/10 out of these two cars last lap, and so maybe we'll see another three-way battle try and evolve here. But further back, the fight for P10 hotting up once again. Ollie Knowles getting to the inside out of the final corner, but will not have the momentum, will not have quite enough straight line speed to stay alongside, but close enough to attack in to the braking zone of T1. Maybe a little more confident. They'll lock up from the Alpine, but will get the better exit with the wider entry. Though is it enough to get alongside? It doesn't quite look like it. They'll be nose to tail entering turn 3, but at this point, big twitch there for the Alpine, and Eddie will now have to let the Ferrari of Bevan, our race leader, through. But if they can stay close behind, there's always an opportunity. If a driver gets held up, has to slow down a little bit for a lapped car, it can always present the opportunity to come back and to make another pass.
Yeah, but a good job there so far for Medusa to stay ahead for as long as they did. And yeah, as you say, I mean, to be honest, I don't think they're falling too far back because they are following Alfie and potentially could use Alfie as a little bit of a bargaining tool to get past the Porsche yet again. So this battle not potentially over yet, but it's going to be, Medusa's going to really have to push now to try and stay with Knowles, who now moves up into 4th in the AMS class and has just under 26 minutes, not 26 minutes, 26 seconds to find to Charlie Morgan, who's currently running in 3rd position in the AMS class. So that's going to be, it's going to be push until the end now with 53 minutes to go in this race. 53 minutes and 53 seconds to be exact. As all off in the background goes Medusa and also one of the Peugeot putting off to the outside of the circuit as well to get out of the way of the race leader. That is Fiona Gresner in that car as Medusa Carpenter is trying to find their way back up to the back of this battle. And again, this is a bit of the thing where it's kind of gone up again. The closest battle on circuit is either Silver to Thorpe or Thorpe to Hammer, which is about kind of fluctuating to the 2.5 mark between the pair of them to the car in front. So again, a bit of cooling on this battle, but not too far away from what I understand. Usually from the pit window. So again, that should be coming up any time soon, and that could have potentially cause some havoc depending on what happens in the pits. Obviously, last time we saw a driver getting a penalty because a driver pushed him into the pit lane.
Yeah, big drama indeed. We are about 4 to 7 laps away from drivers pitting, depending on if they've saved fuel and just exactly how much longer they can go. The big question is, what will they do on tyre strategy? There is a potential, especially if you only change 2 tyres, to make up the time again, but it might lose you track position, especially if you're in this midfield battle, which is still fairly close. Martin Thorpe dropped back a little bit from Tyler Hammer, but is still there, just over a second back. Zach Silver, 2 seconds back as well. Charlie Morgan still a 1.5 back from Peter Jelinek. So all these drivers just, difference in pit strategy, and we can see a change of position that they'll be fighting back, trying to take back. Maybe if they have a little bit more energy, don't have to save as much, or if they've got better tyres. But meanwhile, someone who is going off strategy is Zach Silver. First car into the pits, in the pit window, first car to make their final pit stop of the race. They'll be going to the end. Maybe we'll see a tyre change from them. And just to make the best use of new tyres, they're pitting sort of as soon as they feel comfortable with pitting.
A nice Glickenhaus appearance as well. Sorry, I've completely ruined the vibe, but a Glickenhaus in its wild habitat as well.
Sounds like we need to change the camera. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. Okay. No, but no, please continue. I was making it unserious.
Martin Thorpe here behind Tyler Hammer said still 1.2 lapping. Very similar times at the moment. Last lap, 1.5 tenths quicker was the Ferrari drivers trying to close in on the Toyota as they come round. Still nearing that halfway mark. Zach Silver still in the pits as our next car, Eddie Carpenter in the Alpine pitting as well. So 47-second pit stop for Zach Silver. That does seem a little bit long to just be energy. I feel like there is a couple, 2 or 4 tyres in that. Not sure which, but it is one or the other. as we continue to watch Marnthorpe trying to chase down Tyler Hammer. Closed in 4 tenths. Last lap is trying to close in just as we're into the pit window now.
Yeah, so that should give us something to keep an eye on, especially this battle, as well as we see the Toyota is, well, slowly coming towards the Ferrari in this battle. Martin Ford really pushing on in 6th position to try and catch someone up to the car of Tyler Hammer, who's just running up ahead. He'll jump onto brakes now into 2nd gear, back slowly onto the power, out of turn 6 through turn 7. Then we'll go through the slight kink for 3 of turn 8 as they now will come into the Dunlop corner. Obviously misses the chain and runs actually a little bit wide through there. Misses the airbags completely. Does Martin Forbes now will come through turns 13 through turn 14. Very smooth through this section. Don't want to lock the rears through here as well and turn the car around. We've seen that from a couple of drivers today, spinning into that inside Total Energy Advertising, and then again slightly on the brakes into here to then try and get the car onto the power as soon as possible to give yourself your best opportunity to get a good run onto this straight. It's so important you get a good run onto this straight as well. So long as well, as I mentioned earlier, 0.9 miles in fact is the length of the start finish straight here at Fuji. Lucky it's not the banked oval that was here at the circuit as well, when they originally built it, as well, yeah, you'd have to carry the speed for a lot longer, as well as Shine Morgan making their way out of the pit lane. Zach Finney also in the pit lane from 2nd position. That promotes Nick Manders up to 2nd in the race overall so far, as long as already leading the AMS class. Really good outing for Nick Manders here today at Fuji. As we can see, Pez Jelinek has decided to come into their pit stall as well. The first pit stall as well. Very lucky for them, as Tom Watson will come through the final couple of corners. Now currently runs in 9th as the pit cycle continues. Zach Silver is out of the pit lane, running in 10th position as it currently stands, but we've got Jelinek Knowles into the pit lane as well, as it all currently plays out. As again, another driver into the pit lane is our race leader, Alfie Bevan, as so we'll see where they come out, and the race should still be all right. Had a decent gap as long as there isn't some sort of weird penalty. Is a little bit of time lost for Petr Jelinek, having been held up by the Ferrari in front of them. Obviously he has to go up onto the air jacks or to position the car so they don't run into the back of Alfie Benz, as of course with LMU. No ghosting in the pit lane on this game. If you do rejoin the circuit, well, rejoin the fast lane, you have to make sure there isn't another car coming in, otherwise you are going to clatter off of them. So only briefly now for Petr Jelinek. He will get back onto the power again and out of the pit lane as Alex Parkin streams on past in the Toyota at its home venue. And well, not Ollie Knowles, Petr Jelinek will continue on to chase on, and Ollie Knowles now will head out to chase them as well after coming in for their pit stop, as they should exit the circuit now, sliding back into 11th position in the field and about 10 seconds back from Charlie Morgan, who is still running in 3rd in the amateur class, and Ollie Knowles has about 11 seconds to find, well, over 11 seconds to find to in order to challenge Morgan for the last podium slot in the amateur running, which yeah, looks well and truly on after that stop. Seemed to be a good one for them, as yeah, we've seen a lot of cars come in to the pits. Can you give us any, has anyone had a particularly bad stop? Anyone had a particularly good one?
Yeah, well, we can see the pit time in the bottom left. 1 minute 9 seconds for Ollie Knowles. That's a bit better than the average, which is around 1 minute 18 seconds, as we see from Zach Silver. I believe we're seeing sort of 4 tyres being changed from a lot of these cars. Maybe a little less fuel, maybe not filling up completely, except for Ollie Knowles, who was one of the weakest when it came to energy. But they will carry on. Another car into the pits. Alex Shahabi just coming in. We've got Adisa Carpenter just coming out. Of course, they were fighting with Ollie Knowles earlier on, but seems like they will be coming out behind, and quite a bit behind. I think they might have had a mistake at one point, but they will carry on. Currently P12, they'll gain a they may gain a place on Tom Watson, who's currently in the pits, so is maybe a little too far back from that. Martin Thorpe is now into the pits as we see Alex Shahabi making their way towards the pit exit. And Zach Silver coming round at the final sector. Will Zach was trying to chase down Martin Thorpe. How will Zach Silver be able to make any games with the undercut that they've attempted?
I don't know if we've acknowledged it, and sorry if I haven't been listening and I've missed this, but Zach Finney's ahead of Alfie Bevan, and they've both stopped. I believe. I'm certain. No, I'm certain they've both stopped. Maybe it's my time screen hasn't updated. No, it has updated. Yeah. So Zach Finney, whatever they've done in the pit lane, has put them out just under 7 seconds ahead of Alfie Bevans to put Zach Finney into the lead of this race.
Well, yeah, we can see Zach Finney at 1 minute 10 seconds, one of the lower times we've seen. If we go to Alfie Bevan, 1 minute 27 seconds. That is quite a bit more. I can tell you, Zach Finney has put in about one less lap of energy, but Finney was also saving. He maybe had one more lap of energy by the end of that first stint. So it just seems that Zach Finney a little bit more efficient on the energy, not changing tyres versus Alfie Bevan changing all 4 tyres. And that has given Zach Finney the lead. Alfie Bevan, the gap to close down is 6 seconds. Once they get the tyres up to temperature, I imagine they'll be able to close that gap down. It'll be difficult for Zach Finney to put up a defence. But as I said before the start of the race, this is a track where you can pull 2 different strategies. You could not change tyres, gain the time in the pit stop and try and hold on, or you can change all 4 tyres and really push, try and get the most you can out of all your tyres and make up the time lost in pit lane. So it's interesting to see our front 2 runners going on different ways. It'll be interesting to see what the gap is between these 2 at the end of the race. It was about 8 seconds as they came into the pit lane, or maybe even a little bit bigger. It'll be wonder how similar it is at the end of the race.
Yeah, so obviously Zach Finney's gone for track position, whereas Alfie Bevans has gone for a little bit more of caring in the pit lane. So, yeah, it does present a little bit of a challenge here. Obviously, Zach Finney will be the 3rd different winner this season from 5 rounds in the Pro Class. You've had 2 wins from Jonathan Seville, 2 wins from Alfie Bevan, and this will be, if Zach Finney can hold on, even though the gap is coming down already under 5 seconds as they start this lap, if they can hold on, it'll be their first win in the Pro Class and overall for the season. I see Tyler Hammer's still at the top, but I still believe with a 32-second gap has to come into the pit lane, does that car, or even though it says a 1 minute 17. No, I don't think that's right with that car. Yeah, no. So Tyler Hammer still needing to come in this race.
Yep, has saved the most energy this race. Nick Manders also still has to pit, according to my timing screen. Or no, has pitted. Their virtual energy still just needs to update. Or actually, hang on a second.
Yeah, that looks interesting. He's just dropped through the order quite quickly because he was behind Thorpe, now has just dropped behind Silver, and the gap's still extending 15, 17, and is sitting in their pit stall. What's happened to our amateur leading car? This was potentially going to be a result which helped them to the top of the AMS Championship, but now they're finding themselves quickly dropping through the order.
We'll have a little search through the replays as Tyler Hammer, from taking the lead for the race, is now into the pits. This is 2 minutes ago for Nick Manders through 100R. We don't know what has happened. We're simply searching the replay to see if we can find out what happened. And joining us in chat, game crashed.
Uh-oh.
Well, unfortunately, our second technical issue of the day claims another victim, and as you were saying, our AMS leader. Very, very unfortunate. It is a shame to hear. But yeah, that leaves us now 14 drivers running.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate as well, especially drops us down to 14 runners in this race. Obviously, we'd like a lot more, so that's always going to be a shame. But yeah, just gutting, absolutely gutting for Nick Manders, because it such a good drive today, brilliant qualifying, really kept their own at the front of the field. It's just so unfortunate, and especially as well with Ben Shawley missing this round again. It was a perfect opportunity to see themselves head to the top of the championship in the amateurs class as well. So it's going to have huge ramifications for that as well. So just, it's good. Just only word for it is going for Nick Manders in this race. So yeah, we'll give him a DNF result. So that will mean one of their DNFs does count. So I think with Dmitry Yaroshenko's had a bad result here as well. So it's going to be close in the AMs. Wait, sorry, I'm just going to work out. So Yaroshenko behind Parkin, Zombie, Manders, Carpenter's. So wait, sorry, let me just count down the AMS order. So it's Silver leading the way now, followed by Charlie Morgan. So I think it's gonna just about keep. It should just about, I think, based off of Dmitry Yaroshenko's result today, it should just about keep Nick Manders in the head of, I think, at the top of the AM standings. But yeah, really unfortunate, and it really does time things up for that whole class as well, between him, Dmitry Yaroshenko and Charlie Morgan, and as well with that Zach Silver as well. So that's really going to make that championship extremely close heading into the final round at Le Mans next week. But yeah, really cruelly taken away from Nick Manders as we come back to the battle between Zach Silver and Tyler Hammer. This is Silver trying to. Actually, this is interesting as well, because Silver, only previously was being hunted down. There's a little bit of a mistake there. It's going to keep it full throttle across the grass. That is brave, but just about it's able to, keeps it facing in the right direction. That has lost them some time. But interesting to see this battle, because obviously before, Tyler Hammer was the one that was catching Zach Silver in this race after a strong start from Zach Silver. But now as we come into the latter stages, it's now Silver closing in on Tyler Hammer for 5th position. So this is a real reversal of roles, and showing at the start of their stints, it seems like Silver just has a little bit more pace, and we'll have to see if maybe Tyler Hammer is able to pull any pace out near the end of their stint, or if they'll be under more pressure from Zach Silver, who now is only 1.285 back from the oNiD car.
Yeah, so Tyler Hammer, of course, pitted later. Their pit stop was 3 seconds shorter. They were able to save it a little bit. Zach has closed in. Putting on the new tyres earlier has allowed them to close the gap, even with the longer pit stop. Trying to close up, take advantage of Tyler Hammer's cold tyres. Made that mistake out of the hairpin and has dropped back once again. In front of these two is Martin Thorpe, 2 seconds in front of Tyler Hammer, who didn't change tyres, had the shortest pit stop, one of the shortest pit stops in the field. So you can expect Tyler Hammer and Zach Silver to be able to close up. Al Shahabi as well, not changing tyres. Now 11.5 seconds in front of Thorpe. It'll be interesting to see if that gap is able to be closed down. But we, as get through one of the lap cars, we're going to switch over to Alfie Bevan. As you can see, gap for the lead is coming down, and it is coming down quite quickly. 8/10 quicker was Bevan last lap on Zach Finney. So give it another lap or two, and Alfie Bevan will be putting pressure on to retake the lead of this race.
Yeah, it seems like whatever Zach Finney has tried, it just hasn't been effective enough, and Alfie Bevans will be right back into the lead. But the thing is as well, track position is important. We have seen it here today. Zach Silver made it work with their track position, and we've seen with so many drivers as well. Tyler Hammer did a good job of staying ahead of Alex Shabi just with that track position as well. So we know how effective it can be around this venue from just previous experiences in this race. So we'll have to see how Zach Finney is able to defend. They come onto the straight, and it is a much better run though for Alfie Bevins. That gap really starting to close down. Just over 2.5 temps now, just under 2.5 temps as they come under the Fuji Speedway electronics sign. And he's going to look to the inside into turn 1. Is this going to be the lead of the race for Alfie Bevins? Will he resume into the race lead? He does. Not much of a fight back from Zach Finney. Does go for the switchback here, but Alfie gets the run out of the corner, and it seems like it's enough. Or is it? As they head into turn 3, they turn the cars in now. It seems like Alfie's doing enough. A gap already opened up to 4 temps. I'll stay with them for a little bit longer, just in case there's a break into turn 6, but there isn't. And yes, Alfie Bevins back into the lead of this race, but a good attempt by Zach Finney to try and bring something back. Mine Thorpe looks to have made a mistake though, which has brought Tyler Hammer into a battle with him. They run side by side, and really nothing separating them. Only 28 thousandths separate them. And the last lap gap plus 1.274 opened up between them. So I think that was actually the Tyler Hammer. I think that was just the graphic because Tyler Hammer was ahead, so maybe that's how much Tyler actually caught. But Tyler goes through, and it does mean that Martin Thorpe loses out, and actually now is still under pressure because he's now got Zach Silver to worry about as well.
Yeah, so that gap was how much slower Martin Thorpe was than Tyler Hammer, and now Zach Silver on the till. Remember, Tyler and Zach have both changed tyres. Martin Thorpe has not, and that is why we're seeing the Ferrari driver struggle. You can see how much later Zach Silver is able to break into Dunlop. Nearly accidentally went for a move, had to sort of jump over the curb to try and avoid the Ferrari, which they just about do. If Zach Silver wants a chance to get back in front of Tyler Hammer, they need to pass the Ferrari driver ASAP. Runs a little bit wide onto the curb, but you can see how much more turning that Corvette has than the Ferrari. Into the final corner now. This is when we just switched to the battle where Martin Thorpe ran wide onto the curb, and now it's the opportunity. That Cadillac needs all the straight line speed it can muster now in the slipstream. Thorpe's already lost another 1.3 seconds to Tyler Hammer in front. Silver closing with the slipstream. Should be able to make a move in the braking zone. Is a 10th back. How confident under braking. Does get the nose in alongside a little bump on the Ferrari's nose, but gets the move done and can now go chasing after Tyler Hammer once more.
Yeah, good move by Zach Silver, and it means that he's dispatched him nice and quickly, and it does mean that he can focus himself back on Tyler Hammer. And just trying to close that gap down for 6th position, which I think Zach Silver will settle for. Actually, 4th position, I beg my own pardon. Look at my other screen. As it, Zach Silver will mean they're back up to where they were earlier in the race before their little spin with Alex Shabby, and also big going for Zach Silver as well. Without that spin earlier and without that overtake from Alex Shabby, would have been sitting in 3rd position, overall 3rd position at the moment. But I'm sure Zach Silver can at least settle for a win in the amateur standings as things currently stand, and that'll be a first win in the AMS class of the season for Zach Silver as well. So again, nice to see a little break up in who's won this season with the amateur class, because wins going so far: 2 to Ben Shawley, 1 going to Dmitry Yaroshenko, 1 going to Nick Manders. This would have been Nick Manders' 2nd win of the season, but instead looking like it's going to go the way of the Cadillac of Zach Silver, who was 0.060 quicker than Tyler Hammer over that last lap, which did include an overtake as well. So Silver really does seem to have the pace.
Yeah, it does indeed. Just under 1.5 seconds separates the two of them. How about we go on board with Zach Silver, get up the telemetry as they try and chase down the Toyota in front of them. Both of them on newer tyres, remember, but of course Zach going for that undercut has their tyres a few laps older. Could that be the difference between being able to get up into P4 and just not quite having the tyre life or enough pace? You can see very aggressive on that inside curb, runs a little bit wide, gets onto the grass, just by holds on to the car as it slid across to the right hand side of the track. That is not going to do them any favours in time, and and we see the gap now going to Martin Thorpe is they lost so much time. Thorpe now the closer car, but of course with those old tyres, not changing tyres in the pit stop, Martin Thorpe will fall back once again. But gap now opened up to about 2 seconds between Zach Silver and Tyler Hammer in front. Not the mistakes Zach Silver needs to be making if they want to take P4. Half an hour left in this race is still plenty of time, but with those, as we said, slightly older tyres on Zach Silver, it won't be the easiest to catch Tyler Hammer. I bet it will be even more difficult to make the move for P4.
Also, just going to Twitch chat as well. Hello, Kev. Morning from Adelaide. Good evening from, well, the UK at least, from where I am. But yes, thank you for joining us here today. We've currently got just under half an hour to go now in the oNiD Sim Hound LMU 100 series, round 5 of the championship. Only got one more to go after this at Le Mans. So, yeah, really a lot coming down to this championship. We've seen a lot of championship complications coming into this round as well. Jonathan Seville rolling his Cadillac V-Series R, the iRacing liveried car, off of the circuit 300R, and we've also seen poor Nick Manders going from looking like he's going to take his second win of the season in the AMS and surely a championship lead in the amateur class as well, to disconnecting from the server as well. So a lot of errors, kind of out of sim errors today for people to deal with, which is, made it very interesting coming into this round. We're currently running on board with Zach Silver leading, as I've probably already mentioned, in the amateur class, currently hunting down Tyler Hammer in the pro class, hunting for an overall 4th place finish. And Tyler Hammer, this is a good result for them as well after qualifying session, just outside the podium slots, 4th overall in class. It's not too shabby at all for them either, but I'm sure they'd like to hold on. But Zach Silver is going to make that tricky for them. But the gap's still kind of fluctuating out, just going up to over 2 seconds now. It is the gap between the pair of them. So this battle, again, Zach does have a long time to catch up, but we have seen how Tyler Hammer does get stronger into the later part of the stint. So maybe we're starting to witness the turning point. We have seen a few mistakes as well from Zach Silver, especially around here. He likes to take a lot of this inside sausage cut. This time being a lot more careful, but runs the car a lot wider. And actually, I think that's a bit more competitive line actually taken there, because it brings the gap down ever so slightly as they go through the SS part of the circuit. Now up through the next corner, up towards the final corner of Power Sonic, and it's gap again slowly coming down, 1.8, 1.7 briefly there as they come on to the start-finish straight again to proceed on to another lap. Now 27 minutes and 14 seconds to go.
Yeah, we'll have another look. Gained nearly 2/10 last lap, but this lap lost a 10th. So this is going to be a battle that can go down to the final lap, whether Zach Silver can close down on Tyler Hammer, or if it will just be proved to be too much of a challenge. The field after the pit stops has opened up a bit. Obviously the difference in strategies. These two drivers are slowly closing in on Alex Shahabi as well. They both gained half a second on Shahabi, but there's 9.5 seconds separating Tyler Hammer to Shahabi. So we need another 19 laps, which we might get with this race. If I do a bit of math, we'll be able to figure it out. But yeah, Tyler Hammer, as much as Zach Silver, we need to be perfect. Can't afford to make any mistakes if they want to catch Tyler Hammer. Tyler Hammer themselves needs to be perfect if they want a chance to really catch up and pass Alex Shahabi, who, remember them two having a battle earlier on in the race when they caught Zach Silver, who then of course made that mistake. A bit of a twitch for Zach Silver coming out of the final corner, but it's been a bit of a per lap this time round by Tyler Hammer. It was a 26.9 last time around as he comes up to the line. This lap will be a 27.1. Zach Silver though into 26.6, a full second quicker than Shahabi and over half a second quicker than Tyler Hammer. More laps like that needed from Zach Silver to catch Tyler Hammer. Do they have enough consistency with them to repeat that lap time?
Well, only time will tell. 25 minutes and 20 seconds now to go in this race, and yeah, Zach Silver really needs to come up with this. As it stands though, 16th win on Sim Racing GP for Zach Silver, as their Amwin is looking likely as things currently stand. The track temperature going down now, 32.8 degrees with a 24 degree air temperature on circuit at the moment. So as we come through this part of the circuit, you can never tell it was supposed to be designed after Daytona originally. But that being a change is when Sterling Moss came to the circuit to have a look around. He just said, well, no, you're not going to build an oval circuit in this mountainous area. So they only settled for the first half of the oval at Turn 1, and that only lasted until the 70s. So yeah, obviously a much different venue since Toyota reprofiled it back in 2005 and has hosted Grand Prix and many Endurance Championship rounds ever since. And as we head into Turn 1 again over this lap, the gap 1.1 seconds now, so it hasn't come down by as much, maybe even gone up. It stayed around the same. At last lap, it meant Zach Silver was 42 thousandths quicker, so basically even Stevens between the pair of them, even though one's called Zach and one is called Tyler, so none of them are Steven anyway. As we come through the turn 6 now, towards turn 7 and turn 8, not really hard corners, even though we did see a big crash out of them earlier, but that was more through wheel failure, usually are just kind of flat out kinks that you don't really pay too much attention to. But now as we come through turn 13, you can Zach Silver's off the circuit. He's took too much curb at the Dunlop corner, rejoins the circuit, but I could just see in the mirror there was a big cloud of smoke. Silver spins off into the Avis advertising boards on the outside. Was just pushing too much, wanted it too badly, and he's paid the price in the end. He's completely thrown the car off of the circuit, and it's not gone his way. You'll see it here now. He's going to come onto the brakes now. It doesn't take too much curb compared to other cars, but it's going to bounce over that curb, and it just unsettles the car. Actually, no, maybe not. He just seems to go straight across the grass, and that outside tarmac is just very rumbly, and it just unsettles the car enough to flick him into that Avis advertising, and it does lose in position as well to Martin Thorpe in this race. So Zach Silver, luckily, is still the AMS leader, but very, very costly error.
Yeah, didn't use too much curb, did get a little bounce, and then just that bump just spun the car around. That's so unfortunate. You know, we've seen a couple of cars run wide onto the grass a little bit. You know, usually if you're careful with the car, you can get away with running wide there, but Zach Silver just unlucky with how they hit the bump and has been punished so much for that mistake. That puts him back behind. Martin Thorpe will obviously have damage from hitting the wall with the right hand side tires. Could be some suspension damage in that, which will be quite costly as we see him through. Maybe just a little bit more cautious, a little bit more nervous now with the damage, but of course still has the newer tires, so will be a little bit worn, a little bit flat spotted from the spin. But the question is, can Martin Thorpe now close up on, can Zach Silver close back up on Martin Thorpe? They have the tire advantage, but damage will not make it as easy this time as it was the first time for Zach Silver.
I think there's rear end suspension damage. Look, you can see down the straight, he's fighting the wheel. There's kind of the car's kind of facing left as it comes down the straight, and as you can see, yeah, he's having to face the wheel a little bit to the right, and that is compromising him through some corners. We have seen the back end trying to step out on Zach Silver through some of these corners. Should be a little bit more well behaved around turn 1, as he's obviously turning into the kind of damaged half of the car, trying to face it into the right direction. But it's a corner like this, trying to get into the left-hander, it's going to feel quite unnatural the way he's trying to turn the car in, and you can see really unsettled at the rear. He's really having to fight the wheel through the corner in order to get in a straight line, and again has to fight it through there, runs wide off the circuit through 100R. This damage is really affecting Zach Silver's race, at the moment, because it's just making the car not completely undrivable. It's enough to step out on circuit, but it is costing them time. Gap now up to 3 seconds between Martin Thorpe and Zach Silver. But it's corners like this, the corners where he really has to kind of trust the car, make sure the back end isn't going to step out. He just can't trust it not to step out because of the damage that he's afflicted to it. And luckily, 14 seconds is the gap to Chai Morgan, which is the next closest Amic class, but with 20 minutes to go, and this kind of awkward damage that he's facing, it's going to make it really tricky.
Yeah, it's going to make it really tricky. Wide again out of the final corner, and they're about to come up to the start-finish line. We'll get a lap time comparison as they do, but as the gap's opened up to 3 seconds now, it is not going to look good. I can guarantee you that already. And Zach Silver, unsurprisingly, you could say, has invalidated that last lap. Unfortunately, means we don't get to find out what the time difference is. A little further up, though, Alex Shahabi, we mentioned another car on the same strategy as Martin Thorpe, hasn't changed tyres, being chased down by Tyler Hammer, who has changed tyres. Let's just see, last lap, only 4 tenths quicker for Hammer, and we're looking at about 14 laps to go. So with about 7 seconds to close down and maybe half a second per lap, or 7.5, it's gonna be really tight. There might only be a second or two between these two drivers at the end of the race. That's provided neither of them make any mistakes. If one of them does make a mistake, it could be the difference between finishing in third and having to settle for P4.
Yeah, and obviously, because these both running in the pro class as well, it is a fight for an overall podium and an actual podium, and a class podium, I mean, as well to them. So very important for their championships in terms of stacking up some decent results. Zach Silver has been caught by Petr Jelinek. That gap has come down rapidly between them as well. So that's not boding well for Zach Silver. You can see on the straight really muscling that car. Well, not even muscling, just trying to, it's kind of like a little battle. He's just trying to get little inputs as possible to just try and keep it in the same direction, but just doesn't want that unsettle that rear too much. Should be alright through turn 1, as we've seen before. The car seems to be settled enough, but coming into the brakes, obviously he's going to be a little bit nervous at the rear. Probably he's worried it's going to do some rear locking. We see that a lot with the Cadillac, or at least with some of how our drivers set them up to go quickly. So it does mean that Petr Jelinek now within a half a second of Silver, and again, look, so much later on the brakes, is able to close up, and again through here, it's just going to be able to carry so much more momentum, just has the confidence to the car's going to grip, whereas Silver does not have the confidence. So again, as they come through that section of the circuit, nearly 2 tenths is what he catches, and Silver locking up is not going to help in that as well. So it does mean that Petr Jelinek's going to drive alongside. They're going to stay side by side as they go through 300R now, and they stay right together. Now into Dunlop. Silver's going to try and hold on to the inside. He's going to take it off the curb. Petr Jelinek's going to run the car off of the circuit now as they come through the turn 13 up towards turns 14 and 15 now through next corner. Silver's going to have the inside, but now it's going to switch to the inside through Panasonic for Petr Jelinek, and again Silver's just not able to carry the car. He's not able to trust it to carry the momentum through that corner. We've seen him run wide through there a couple of times, and it has meant that Petr Jelinek advances up to 6th position in the end pretty easily, and Chai Morgan now is 12 seconds back down the road, and it's up to Zach Silver to try and keep this lap time up and hope that he can hold on to at least 7th position. Otherwise, if he doesn't, Chai Morgan's going to come through and potentially take the win in the amateur class.
Something I've just noticed, Zach Finney was, of course, not long overtaken by Alfie Bevan. That's nearly 20 minutes ago now. This second half of the race has flown by, but now finds himself over 41 seconds off the lead. I believe he has taken a drive-through penalty. That's why the pit time is down at 29.2 seconds. But yeah, that's cost Zach Finney any chance of retaking the lead of this race. Has allowed Shahabi to close in a bit. If this must be even more gutting if Nick Manders was still in the race. They maybe could have been up to P2. Of course, in that case, maybe P3 Seville didn't have their issues as well with their wheel disconnecting. But yeah, difficulties for one of our podium sitters, who did briefly lead the race from some tyre strategy. I've also just noticed a little further back, the gap between Tyler Hammer and Alex Shahabi still closing. Let's look at the time difference last lap. 1.2 seconds. That is what Tyler Hammer needs to close in. That sort of seems like a bit of a mistake for Alex Shahabi. A slow lap, a 1:28.0, a 26.7 for Tyler Hammer. Maybe those tyres on Shahabi's car just starting to struggle that little bit more. And the issue with the lap car getting into the back of the Peugeot coming into Dunlop sends Shahabi out wide, and it's going to give them a little bit of damage, and that's going to give Tyler Hammer close the gap up even more. You can see it's already now down to 3 seconds. This could cost Shahabi a podium finish.
Alex Shahabi there, and I feel sorry for the lap car as well. I think was trying to get out of the way, but just awkward misreading between the pair of them. And again, it's, as you say, big implications, because this could cost Alex Shahabi a potential podium and bring Tyler Hammer, after potentially at one point being caught by Alex Shahabi and overtaken by Alex Shahabi, could mean that he comes past and takes it for the podium in the end. And, well, really, Tyler Hammer, just consistency has been key for him today, and it could well and truly pay off. Not at the end of the race yet, though, and he's not ahead of Alex Shahabi yet either. So, yeah, the gap down to 2.1 seconds. But, yeah, it's going to be a tall order for Alex Shahabi to try and stay ahead on the older tyres, with still just under 14 minutes to go in this race. It's going to be tricky.
Yeah, here's Tyler Hammer now past the Peugeot driver of Fiona into the hairpin. The gap coming down quite substantially. It was, let's see what was last lap, practically 3 seconds. That's, of course, well, that gives Shahabi more, Tyler Hammer more time to try and make the overtake happen. You know, it's one thing to catch up, it's another thing to pass. Even with the tyre difference, Tyler Hammer will have to make an overtake stick. So now, just with the gap coming down much quicker than any of us could have expected, they'll just buy more laps, more opportunities for Tyler Hammer to take the final podium position.
So as they come on to the start-finish straight again, we're right on board with the Toyota. I think we're on board with at the moment. As we come into the braking zone, yeah, it is. You can see the Ferrari just ahead in the distance. The gap now 1.6 seconds between them as they start this lap. 12 minutes, 30 seconds to go in this race. It's coming down to the wire for Tyler Hammer to try and steal the final podium in this race and stop it from being a Ferrari 1-2-3, interestingly, now with the Cadillac running out of positions. And, well, Toyota owns circuit since 2000, and well, it's a home venue for the car he's currently driving, as I kind of alluded to there. So he's got a lot of omens on his side, and he just needs to keep pushing on. The gap stays at 1.4 though. They'll come into the braking zone now under the Goodyear advertising board, jumps onto the brakes, drops the car down into third gear, takes a little bit of that right-hand curb, not too much though. Don't want to unsettle the car too much over that curb and run across the grass on the outside. We've seen how costly that's been for Zach Silver in this race. So as we now come up the hill through next corner, it's a little bit wide there from Alex Shahabi. The gap coming down still 1.2 seconds is what we see now as we come through Panasonic. Gets onto the power again, is really on the rev limiter there. Car bouncing off of it as it comes out of the final corner. Gap is now down to 1.2 seconds still, 1.26 there, now going to 1.25 as they come onto the start-finish straight. So still, Tyler has caught up a little bit of attempts on that lap again, and potentially, if they do what they've done on that lap, could potentially find themselves within a second of Alex Shahabi. So they drop the gearbox down again into first, second, third, fourth, smashing the car up through the gears, fifth, as they now come through turn 3. Just taps on the brakes before the 50-meter board to turn the car in. Don't want to take too much curb there because it will unsettle the car as they now head through 100R. You want to keep it nice and tight through here so you can get on the power. Keep it as short as possible through the corner. Now as we drop into second gear. Want to get on the power nice and early so you get a good little bit of traction on the change of camber there. Up to fourth gear through these little kinks that aren't too much, and the gap has come down to less than a second. 0.8 is the gap between them. Now as they again through Dunlop, we miss the chicanes as we do the classic layout of the circuit. Now as they start their S part of the circuit through turn 13, lapped car running up ahead as well. I think that's Oliver Knowles. It's and again we can see a tyre line taken through here for Tyler Hammer compared to Alex Shahabi, and Shahabi is getting closer to that laps car, so Oliver Knowles could play something in this battle as the gap now down to 0.7. We'll ride on board now with Alex Shahabi. So as we ride on board with the AF Course liveried yellow car, you can see the Porsche is just up ahead, and will Ollie Knowles get out of the way quickly, or is he going to be a thorn in the side? At the moment it doesn't seem like Knowles is pushing on for too much, not too many cars ahead of him with just now under 10 minutes to go in this race, but you can see just behind how close that Toyota is now. It is an ominous figure in its purple and black colours in the mirrors of Alex Shahabi as they will come through turn 3, now through 100R. Gap now less than half a second between them. This is what Tyler Hammer's been pushing for the latter half of this race. And now as we come through under the Michelin Man giving us a wave up through turn 6, it seems like actually Alex Shahabi is struggling to keep pace with the lap car, and this is really where it's going to get interesting because Tyler Hammer is in attacking distance. He's now under 3 tenths behind the AF Course car, and this is going to be an opportunity potentially for Tyler Hammer. He's going to look up the inside into turn 13, decides against it, is going to follow them through turns 14 and 15. We'll want a good run through here to ensure they can maybe have an attack down the start-finish straight. And the good news is for Alex Shahabi, yes, there is a slower car ahead. Yes, he's going to maybe slightly hold him up, but what I was going to say, he'll give him a slipstream. No, he won't. He moves out the way, and he nicely gets out of the way for Tyler Hammer. So as they come onto the start-finish straight, the gap is 0.343 between them. So as they go down the straight now, and the Toyota follows the Ferrari in the slipstream, there's weaving down the straight, trying to cut the toe. It's Alex Shahabi as they head into turn 1. Hammer's later on the brakes. He slows up behind Shahabi. Shahabi takes the inside line, trying to block any sort of move from the Toyota, but the Toyota is going to have so much more grip on those newer tyres as they head through towards turn 3. Alex Shahabi closes the door again, left it slightly open as he came into the entry, but this is where it's going to matter. The grip advantage through here is going to drag the Ferrari a little bit wider compared to the Toyota. As you can see, the Toyota is able to hug that inside line so much more easily compared to what the Ferrari is able to do, and it means it's going to drag the Ferrari out wide through turn 6 as well, and look at the drive it's given Tyler Hammer out of that corner up towards Dunlop. He's had a great run out of there. Is he going to be able to pull alongside? He's going to look to the inside. He's not going to go for it though this time. He knows there's better points in the lap. He knows he's the quicker driver. He knows he just needs to wait for Alex Shahabi to slip up as they come through 13 now, up towards the top of the hill at next corner. Again, both of them a little bit wide through them actually, and the gap actually staying about where it was last time through here. Surely the grip advantage though for the Toyota takes the tyre line out of the apex of the corner to try and give it a better run onto the straight, but the thing is as well, it seems the Ferrari's got a better run. So as they start there, this time 7 minutes now to go in the race, this battle for third position is hotting up, but again it doesn't seem like the Toyota's close enough to give anything to the Ferrari.
We've had another DNF in the race. Yaroshenko having an incident and having to retire now. They will be our 4th in retirement as Tyler Hammer, little bump of the Ferrari, much better traction on those newer tyres. The Ferrari struggling and just receiving a little helping hand, a little assistance out of the first corner. I mentioned how important those laps, these extra laps, Tyler Hammer. You know, this could have been the last 3 minutes of the race that would have been much easier for Shahabi to try and hold on to. But look at the difference in the braking zone. Tyler Hammer trying to go around the outside, just turning a little bit too early, turning into the side of the Ferrari, who was holding the inside line. And that's maybe a bit of a missed opportunity, maybe a little bit of damage between the pair of them that could hinder the Toyota. You can see how much the Toyota closes up in the braking zone and through Dunlop corner, how much more confidence they're able to have with the newer tyres. But it is not about closing up anymore for Tyler Hammer. It is about making the overtake, making it cleanly as Alex Shahabi tries to fight off the Toyota, as the Toyota once did against the Ferrari earlier this race. 5.5 minutes to go. The laps are ticking away, not just for these two, but for Charlie Morgan as well, who's trying to catch up to the wounded, to the limping Zach Silver, who's within their vision just up ahead as they come into the final sector. Charlie Morgan has been gaining over a second every lap. They will have a few laps to try and make a move. It might be a little bit easier than it is for Tyler Hammer with this damage on the Cadillac. The steering bent right hand down, which will make it extra difficult, especially through the long right-hander of 100R. We've seen already a twitch earlier on for the Cadillac as that gap continues to close. So 2 battles to end this race on, as we're within the final 5 minutes now.
Not that it's going to make much of a difference either. 1.8 is the track temperature in the race at the moment. And down the inside, this is for third position. Through Dunlop, they're going to squeeze each other. No, actually, he's through. It's Tyler Hammer through up to third position. Had the grip, but it looks like Alex Shabby is coming back. Is he going to look for it? No, he's not going to be able to be close. Yes, he is. He's going up the inside into the second to last corner. He's going to push the Toyota off the circuit. They're going to run side by side now up towards Panasonic corner. Is the Ferrari going to be able to send it around the outside? The Toyota takes the inside line, but it's pushed out wide. That's going to give the Ferrari the pace onto the straight, so they run side by side. 4 minutes, or just over 4 minutes now to go in this race, and we have the fight for the podium side by side, separated by thousands as they come across the line, running with one another. It's going to be Tyler Hammer to the outside into turn 1, and Alex Shabby, I think, is going to hold on because he's going to have the inside line. Is he going to? As they get into the corner now, he's going to run wide though, and on the switchback comes the Toyota. So here comes Tyler Hammer now, with him running together, both of them for third place, the final podium spot in this race. He's going to go for the switchback through turn 3 up towards 100R now. They run side by side with one another. It's going to be Alex Shabby just going to hold on for now as they head through into turn 6. They get onto the brakes now, and it seems it's going to be enough, but we know the run that this Toyota gets out of the corner. It seems like Tyler Hammer gets so much more pace just because of the grip he has in that car, and he's going to look to the inside. He's thinking about the inside, but it's not close enough as they now go through turn 6, Dunlop corner, I mean, not even turn 6, that was many corners ago. Now, as they head up the hill again, it's close between them, but Tyler Hammer is so close. He's going to try and go running outside, but he's going to run very deep into the corner, and that means that it's going to cost him a little bit. And that gap now up to 7 tenths between the pair of them.
Yeah, little mistake there from Tyler Hammer, just getting onto the curb, and look at that moment out of the final corner. All he knows, being a lap car, is catching up, and the gap's opened up to over a second. Let's try and get a replay of that action, because that was such a fight between the two of them. Tyler Hammer thinking they got the move done, as we just wait for the replay to load. Here it is, just after Tyler Hammer got to the inside, got the move done through 100R, but here's the Ferrari just slipping it up the inside, trying to fight back. Cheekily though, doesn't leave any space, pushes Tyler Hammer off the track. So Tyler Hammer thinks, oh, alright, I can do the same, I can go up the inside of you, but maybe lulled into a false sense of security, gets a per exit from that tight line through the corner, and Shahabi uses that to cut back, take the inside line, and get themselves back in front. Tyler Hammer tries to do the same at turn 1, but just wasn't good enough at it, which we will just see here into the brakes. Tyler Hammer better on the brakes, runs it in wide so he can cut back, take the inside line, strain up the exit for the traction, which does get them back alongside momentarily, but on the outside for turn 3, even with the fresher tires, nothing they could do there. They did try again, get cut back, but just not able to get the move done. Alex Shahabi still strong through 100R as they were earlier on in the race. But great battle between the pair of them. A little further back as we're getting towards the final minute of the race. Charlie Morgan has got up to the back of Zach Silver and is looking to make a move. Remember, Zach Silver is very wounded in that Cadillac, is just trying to get the car to the end. Will it be in 7th place though, or will he lose one more place to Charlie Morgan here in the final laps. Little twitch for the Porsche driver there as they come up into turn 15, the penultimate corner. Final corner now. A good exit needed for the Porsche driver to see if they can use the slipstream, but doesn't like to be that great of an exit. Sort of only equal to the Cadillac, which will not be good enough to make a move into T1.
Zach Silver's reminding me of Monty Python here. He's kind of like the soldier who loses his foot and it goes, it's only a flesh wound, because it really isn't for Zach Silver. I think it's going to be, well, it should be easy for Charlie Morgan to come on the inside and through, which he has done into turn 1. He's got alongside Zach Silver. They're going to run side by side, but with Zach Silver basically running with a crutch at the moment, it's going to be really hard with him to stay with him. He's really pushing him at the moment to try and stay down the inside. Trying to open that position. He's in him! Sideways, and the round goes Zach Silver. He was getting desperate. He wanted to hold on to the AMS lead. He's still pushing. He's just done the Dukes of Hazzard over the escape road. But Silver got, I think he saw the lead fading away from him in the AMS class. And sadly, it has faded in the end, and he's going to have to settle for second in the class after that spin around. I think has enough of a cushion to Oliver Knowles to hold on, but Charlie Morgan is currently in the hot seat to win in the AMS class. We've had so many different potential winners in that AMS class today. No one's wanted it, and Charlie Morgan has inherited it as Alfie Bevans, I think, has done enough to come around the final corner to take victory here today in the series. Third win of the season for Alfie after an unfortunate accident for Jonathan Seville, which saw him flip multiple times after a wheel disconnect earlier in the session. That's going to put Alfie to the top of the Pros Championship, but these two still continue on fighting. They're still with one another in the final couple of moments in this race, and none of them willing to give up. We know the drive he gets out of turn 6 though. Can Tyler Hammer make it work? To the outside into Dunlop corner. He's going to try and send it squeezed by Alex Shahabi as they now make their way up the hill, up towards turn 13, through turn 13, and he's lost the alongside move. Now all the way with a nudge at the rear end there by Tyler Hammer. He's going to try and look out the inside through next corner, now through Panasonic. He's going to try and run it around the outside, maybe go for the switchback, force the Ferrari to the tyre line. The Ferrari parks on the apex though. Alex Shahabi knew exactly what he was doing, and he's completely halted all the momentum of Tyler Hammer. Hammer's going to have to settle for 4th, and Alex Shahabi, a great defensive drive, is somehow going to hold on to 3rd position in the end. It's a great result for Alex Shahabi. Tyler Hammer settles for 4th position in the end, and what a race that was in the end. Great driving from a lot of our drivers, a lot of action as Alex Parkin streams past in the background. I think has just come across the line, has come into the pits, and Ollie Knowles has pitted as well. So the last car on the circuit is Alex Shahabi to round out round 5 of the championship. What a round it was in the end. So many twists and turns in the championship with only 1 round to go now, and what a race we just witnessed.
What a race indeed. Your final standings from our penultimate round in the 100 series. Alfie Bevan winning after an unfortunate wheel disconnection issue, hardware issue for Jonathan Seville. Means Alfie does take first on a different strategy, changing tyres, having to catch and overtake Zach Finney to take the lead. They will take the lead. Zach Finney taking a comfortable second, though a drive-through penalty put that into jeopardy. Might have fallen down further if it wasn't for other technical issues for other drivers. Alex Shahabi on the different strategy, trying to not change tyres in the pit stops, came under tremendous pressure from Tyler Hammer, who he passed in the first stint, held on, did get past briefly, but made a move back and retook 3rd place and held on to the end of the race. We'll take final podium position ahead of Tyler Hammer, who just seemed too desperate at the end, was pushing, was trying everything they could. Just could not quite find that move and make it stick. Martin Thorpe will take P5 ahead of Peter Yelnick. Charlie Morgan, who did catch up to a very wounded Zach Silver, who was running well. A mistake locked the brakes into the herp, inviting Shahabi and Tyler Hammer earlier on in the race. And then ran wide later on, trying to catch up to Tyler Hammer in the final stint, ran wide, hit a bump, and then eventually found the barrier on the exit of Dunlop Corner. We'd bring Zach Silver down to P8. Ollie Knowles will take P9, with Tom Watson picking up the final spot inside the top 10. On the second page, then, Indusa Cumner in their first 100 series race will finish P11 on the controller. Alex Parkin will take 12th place, and Fiona Zombie, again, another making their debut 100 series race in the winged Peugeot, will finish in 13th. Last of our finishers. Yaroshenko had multiple mistakes throughout the race, and in the end, we not finish. Nick Manders unfortunately had a game crash running up at the front. A potential top 3 this race gone to waste through no fault of their own. Very unfortunate for them, but hopefully they'll be back strong once again next round. But Tufson had instance themselves, did not finish, and Jonathan Svell, as we mentioned, that wheel disconnection causing a massive crash, and then their game crashing just to make matters worse. The rest of our field not able to make the race and forgetting to withdraw.
Well, what a race that was. Huge carnage, huge racing, and we now head into our final week of season racing here at oNiD as well. So a lot of championships to be decided. I believe Alfie's leading the NASCAR, the British NASCAR series we're doing, and is also running in the top 2 of our Monday GT3 league as well. So he has a lot to fight for this week in terms of championships. And obviously next week we finish on the 24th of August at Le Mans Circuit de la Sarthe. And where else better to end our Sunday series at probably the biggest venue for endurance, well, arguably the biggest venue for endurance racing in the world. So yes, it's going to be one to look forward to. But yes, there are the rest of our series that are coming up for this week, and I'll let Scotty talk you through them.
Yes, starts tomorrow, our final rounds with the GT3 MPG season. Full single class of GT3 cars, 2 times fuel usage for a 65-minute race at not just Le Mans, but Le Mans Mulsanne. No chicanes along that Mulsanne straight will make fuel disappear very quickly. Very thirsty cars. It'll be a guaranteed 2-stop race. It may even require some additional fuel saving. See how the strategy plays out there tomorrow here on our Twitch channel. Then on Tuesday, thanks to the little server issue earlier on in season, it is only the penultimate round of our British Stock Car Series, where we will be having the final sprint round. 3 20-minute races, the third of which being a reverse grid. This time at the ever high-speed Thruxton circuit. We've seen plenty of action a few weeks ago for our other sprint round at Castlecombe. Thruxton should be just as exciting, just as exhilarating with our rolling start and safety car at play. It can go any which way. So make sure you tune in on Tuesday for our Assetto Courses installment of the week. On Wednesday, as we mentioned a couple of times throughout tonight, we have the Sim Hound Academy also finishing up at Le Mans, our only multi-class season of the series of the season. With GT3s and hypercars, the newer, less experienced drivers, or drivers that struggle for pace a little bit, they try and learn the ropes, find some speed, find some consistency, and get some experience under their belts. 50 minutes of Le Mans will either require a lot of fuel saving, probably too difficult. Will be one of the few races where we'll see a pit stop in our Wednesday series. Who will get the strategy right and take on the right amount of fuel? Who will get it wrong, take on too much fuel, and cost themselves time and positions? Tune in on Wednesday to see who can master that. Before on Thursday, our iRacing GT3 showdown. Our iRacing is one. Funny enough, they're also going to Le Mans. Could be a Le Mans frantic week next week, starting tomorrow. The GT3 Transatlantic Showdown, the battle between North America and Europe. North America is leading the way quite dominantly 4 rounds into it. Can Europe, after a strong round at Daytona, can they show that same pace again? Another track with high top speed. and maybe take the fight back, maybe have a chance at taking the title. Make sure you join us on Thursday for iRacing installment for the GT3 Transatlantic Showdown before Sunday as our final 100 series race. We're going to something a little bit different in the next season for Sunday. Stay tuned. Join our Discord if you want to find out first what our new season, our season 5, will have in store. That will be announced in the coming week, as well as our socials to fill in between season 4 and 5. So yeah, make sure you join in our Discord and follow us on SimGrid if you want to get involved. So yeah, plenty of great racing coming up over next week to end out season 4, and as well to come when season 5 starts in a few weeks' time.
I've heard some whispers for next season, and I am very, very excited for it as well. And before I mention as well, Alex Shabby leading the way for Europe in the iRacing GT3 Showdown as well, and is 5th overall in that championship as well. So a lot of our drivers you've seen today, you can see over the rest of our series in the week as well. But I believe if we both haven't got anything more to mention, I believe that's where we're going to end today's stream.
Yep, that is us for today. Hopefully, we will see you back tomorrow. Thank you all for joining. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evenings, and I hope you all have a great start to your next week tomorrow on Monday. But yeah, until next time, it is good night for us. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.